I'll call the meeting of the Menifee City Council to order. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Edgerton, you are participating telephonically tonight. If you can just indicate your presence.
I'm here.
All righty. And Councilmember August.
Here.
Councilmember Leesmeyer.
Here.
And Mayor Pro Tem, acting mayor tonight, Mr. Denver.
Here.
Thank you.
We have words of inspiration from Pastor Tony Trax, Hope Christian Church.
Good evening, everybody. Would you please bow your heads and let's join one another in a moment of prayer, shall we? Almighty God, we come before you this evening and ask for your presence and your peace to be upon our city's council meeting. We ask for your grace and your wisdom to be given to our honorable mayor and to each of our council members, to their staff, and to each of our citizens here during this dedicated time of discussion. And Lord, we ask that you would lead and guide, that you would rule and overrule this time, so that the good of our city, from the neighborhoods to the schools, our businesses, and our safety officers are covered by your mighty hands as we walk in your light and in your love. Bless us now and grant us your peace, we ask in your holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Councilmember August, would you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Yes, please all join me in the pledge of allegiance to our flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, do we have any presentations today?
No, sir.
Approval of the meeting minutes. I think, do we have any modifications or anything?
I hear no modifications. Do you wish that so ordered?
Yes.
Thank you.
Agenda, the public comments. Do we have any public comment speakers?
First, let me let you know that the agenda is approved as posted. And we
Thank you.
do have public speakers, Your Honor. I will begin calling them if that is a good thing to do now. Paula Cadella.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity to speak with you. I don't know exactly what it is I'm asking for. I think it's a redetermination for a home-based business. My husband is a federal firearms licensee. We transfer guns is all that we do. We don't have a stock. We don't sell guns. We're not retail. But we've been determined as retail, so they have denied our right to do this from our home. And so I'm just asking that you can look at that again. Last year we had 39 people, 5 of them were friends. So that's the type of that we're talking about here. It's not a great big retail location. We don't stock anything. We don't sell ammo or anything like that. It's a service is what it is. We probably have no more than a piano teacher or a CPA or anything like that.
Thank you very much. If you'd give a little piece of paper with your name and number and all, and hand it in, we'll take a look.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, Gina Gonzalez is in the back of the room.
Oh,
If you want to speak with her,
there
we
she
can
is.
get your information and we'll look into it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other speakers?
Yes, sir. Rick Croy.
Do we have the overhead available? And maybe if you could zoom in a little bit on that. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm speaking as a concerned private citizen.
Rick, just
You're
pull
the
it down.
one who zooms in, yeah.
I will zoom. Anyway, close enough for government work, right?
Won't take that personally, Commissioner.
Go ahead.
Thanks. There was some mention a few months ago about getting a signal at Garbani and Aloe. I live over in that area. I would like to find out who we need to twist the arm on. I'm almost killed there every night making that left turn. It's a very poorly designed intersection. There's a lot of traffic that There's a lot of people coming up to the college. I make that left turn from southbound Antelope onto eastbound Garbani. There's a lot of risk-taking there. Me and my wife were going out to dinner the other night, and there was a really bad one right there, about 2 minutes before we got there. I know that the track just east of there, there's a couple of developers that have agreed to things, and I would like to see whatever we could do to speed that up, because it's not getting any better with Cantalina coming on board. There's going to be a lot of more pressure on that intersection. As you can see, what happens is people coming northbound on Antelope try to whip around that dirt shoulder to make that right turn when people are trying to make a left. And God forbid you're in the way making that left turn, because it's not good. Also, as you may remember, a couple of months ago, I talked about my daughters on Scott Road, and once again this afternoon there was another bad one. It comes down to foreseeability. I would sure hate to see the city get in a lot of trouble because we didn't do anything. You put bookend Walmarts on each side of Bundy Canyon and Scott Road, and there's going to be a lot more pressure on that road. I just want to keep it in the forefront, because we really need to make sure our infrastructure keeps up with our expansion here. Thanks.
City Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Croy. Just for general information, we have 3 stoplights under development right now, under design. Garbani and Antelope is one.
Thank you.
And I believe later this spring, all 3 will be installed. The other ones are Bradley and Holland by the Paloma High School, and Aldergate in Menifee.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Any more speakers?
Yes, sir. Christina Gray?
Hello, I live on Menifee Lakes, on Lori Valley Lane, and a sober living. Are we allowed to say the address, or no?
I'd rather you don't. Sober, I don't care if you wish to.
Well, it's it's a 30322 Marnie Way,
Okay.
and I did already call code enforcement. I did knock on the door, and I asked them how many people were living in the house, and they told me 9, but another person was coming. So it's my understanding that code enforcement has not opened anything up on it. There's been no reports or anything filed. And I feel it's important to me, all my neighbors that are here right now, we're here to speak about the same thing. There's a lot of people, they smoke, they're, coming, going all the time, and it's just really changed our little quiet little neighborhood. And we live right on the lake.
You've just given the address, and I'm sure it'll be checked in on.
Thank you.
Another speaker, please?
Katie Manier?
Good evening. I've asked numerous times for the city to do what they should do, to acquire the records from the county regarding the dumping of toxic material in the city, and still it has not been done. I've asked that of Matt Leesmeyer. I asked that of Robert Carwin, our new planning commissioner. Still nothing. Numerous times I've asked Kathy Bennett for any and all records and documentation to show that any of you sitting on the council have the medical degrees to make the statement that toxic material, biosolids, sewer sludge is safe. And she keeps sending me the info about the forum that was held, yet there was no expert, there was no documentation presented to show it was safe. I was at the forum. I don't need to be sent any more information about the forum. This city has an obligation to protect the people. I think it may be time to turn this matter over to 30 miles of corruption to investigate. Even our attorney has no moral fiber to do what is right. I also want to ask how we got a member on the Planning Commission that sits on EDA. That is a direct conflict of interest since EDA is responsible for approving projects. Mr. Folsom needs to recuse himself from all votes, which makes him an ineffective planning commissioner. I also have doubts he lives in this city.
Any other speakers?
Yes, sir. Freddie Valcarcel? Did I get close?
Hi, I'm new in the community. Basically, about 2 months in Menifee Lakes. I'm bringing up the same concern that Mrs. Gray had. Unfortunately, after I bought the house next to my property, somebody rented their house, and like she's saying, there is people coming in, coming out all the time. The smoking is terrible. You have 10, 15 people smoking in the backyard, and all that smoke goes to all the neighbors. So I would like to know if they have all the necessary permits to operate, how many people are supposed to live there, is somebody supervising that, or are they complying with all the regulations? Basically that.
We'll work on it. Thank you. Other speaker?
Sir William?
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, all of the council members, and everybody here in the audience. I wish you all a good evening. My name is Sir William. My wife Joanne and I are founders of Time is Creeping Up Productions, which we call it Tick Up. The reason I'm here is to promote our Pirates Masquerade Ball. It is this weekend at Menifee Lakes Country Club. Starts at 6 o'clock in the evening. Now, I am here, this is a fundraiser to raise funds for American cancer. I'm here to ask all of you captains, all of you commodores, all of you admirals to join me in fighting this particular ship that is out there. Along with that, I need for you to bring all of your pirates to do battle. I sincerely hope that you will all join us in this event. There's a dinner, a beautiful dinner. There's a lot of dancing. There's going to be a lot of pirate-oriented stuff going on, a whole lot of it. I think you're all going to enjoy it. It's all for a beautiful cause. That's all I have to say about that.
What time is it again?
It starts at 6 o'clock this evening. And we've brought...
Sunday.
I'm sorry. Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Menifee Lakes.
At Menifee Lakes Country Club. Now, I cannot sell tickets at the door. It's going to just totally throw our seating off. So we need to, those that are interested need to purchase those tickets before Saturday. We brought some with us if you're interested, and we have all the information that you need too. So in the meantime, I'm going to go sit in the back, and after tonight, I'm going to go get a haircut. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Is there a website or something you can tell us where to get tickets?
Yes. Yeah, we have, the website is called TICUP, that's TICUP.org. Also, I have information, we'll be sitting right here in the back for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Speakers?
Alan Gauthier? Thank you.
Good evening, Pro Tem Mayor and council members. I'm here to sing the same song about that, whatever it is, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to get information and also to make comments about the sober living house. I've heard it called many things, but it's rumored, I don't know if they've nailed it down or not, at least 9 people are living there. It's some type of house, halfway house, sober living facility. Is that a business? That's what I would like to know from the city. If it was a business, then they must have had to put in through the city for permission to do that. And I guess that's a question that I'm asking. Who determines the numbers of people that can live in a residence and legal occupancy? And how do we find out if those folks are on probation or on parole? And in fact, if they are, can we summons periodic probation checks on that building. Are they involved with Child Protective Services? Because there's kids right across the street. I mean, right across. I don't know how to get the information, and that's one of the reasons I'm here tonight. Perhaps somebody can advise me. The other issue on my address was something that I saw in Menifee, and will this thing show on the screen if I put a cell phone below it?
A cell phone?
Probably
No.
not.
Probably not. I'll pass it around.
No, just kind of say, hold it up.
That's pretty far.
All right.
That's a sign in Temecula. Now, we can do better in Temecula. And it's a reserved parking place for Purple Heart recipients. And it's for all services. I've enjoyed the signs that you've put up on the poles around the streets here that show the active duty service members, gives a little bio on them. I think that's wonderful. But this is a kind of a neat thing. Again, it's like your handicap signs, only it's got a Purple Heart on it and it says reserved. And I don't think it can be enforced, but at least it's something to wave the flag at. So,
Talk to Gina as you go out. She's the main person who handles all that.
okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Any further speakers?
Yes, sir. Matthew Duarte.
Good evening. My name is Matt Duarte. I'm a longtime Menifee resident. Actually, coincidentally, I grew up on Marne Way. But at any rate, I'm married, father of two, and as of last Monday, I'm newly appointed to the Board of Directors for Valleywide Parks and Recreation District. I know I've met some of you before, but I just wanted to come here and formally introduce myself so you could put a face to the name. And let you know that I'm excited to get to work. I'm very passionate about our city parks, and I intend to be a vocal advocate for our community. Just a little bit about me personally. I work locally as an attorney. I grew up, as I said, I grew up here in Menifee, and I'm very proud to call this place my hometown. I'm the oldest of four boys, all educated here in Menifee School District, and my mom is a teacher at Cali Kirkpatrick Elementary. She's been a teacher in the district for 25 years, and my dad also works for the district, so we have some long-term ties. Also, as I said, I'm a father of two girls. One is 4 and the other is 2. Now that I have children of my own, I've become very passionate about what they're passionate about, and that's been the Parks and Rec. So with that being said, that's who I am, and I just wanted to let the council know, let Mr. Johnson know, and Mr. Lennox, I came and addressed the Parks and Rec Commission last week, that I'm here, I'm your representative, use me. If you have any questions, concerns, issues, anything, I'm available, and that goes for the public as well. I just want to make sure that we continue to have high quality and the best facilities and services, and I know firsthand that Valleywide can do that. So in conclusion, you know, we have a lot of exciting stuff going on in our city, and I know a lot more on the horizon, and I know the council and staff have been a large part of that. So I'm just looking forward to being a small part in what makes Menifee great, and I look forward to working with you all closely and hearing from you in the future. So thank you.
Congratulations on your position. It's nice to have a Menifee residence on that commission. So, and I know you're a Rotarian and tied to the community. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Speaker?
Reverend Bill Freeman.
Good evening. I may have picked the wrong day to come here. I didn't wear my wig. I don't have any
You
guns
look
at
pretty
home.
good, sir. You're fine.
But also, well, I want to talk about the homeless. And I understand that a survey was done recently, and it was determined that there are 12 homeless people in the city of Menifee. My church houses 6 homeless people. I find it hard to believe that we have 50% of the homeless people in the city of Menifee living at my church, but, okay. I guess I'm here to ask you all, as far as I know, the city of Menifee does not have a homeless shelter. And I wonder if it's possible for the city of Menifee to have a homeless shelter. Funded by the city, funded by whoever. I mean, we would fund it if we had money, but we are a church and we do not. I don't expect an answer tonight, but I want to put it on your agenda if it's not already there. That I think the city of Menifee, whether it has 12 people who are homeless or 60 people who are homeless, I think it's important for the city of Menifee to be the caring community that I believe it to be, to have a homeless shelter.
You've just put it on our agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. August?
Hold on, Pastor. I participated in that survey, and I did go by your church, and I was there. We had contacted 3 very, very nice people, appreciative people, to the church outside the church, and I guess there were 2 or 3 inside. We also found 2 in an encampment next to the post office and so on and so forth. But it's my understanding that those numbers will be turned into the county, and some decisions and feedback will be coming back to the city on that. So I don't know what they found. I guess they didn't find quite as many people in the other areas, but I'm sure we looked very, very hard. I'm sure there's probably more out there, but on that particular morning, at that particular time, that's all we could find.
That's fine, and that's understandable, and again, I just, however many there are, I think the city of Menifee is growing. I think it's a wonderful place to live. I've only been here about 6 months, but it's a wonderful place to live. If I were homeless, I'd probably live here or Oceanside, but anyway, thank you very much.
Oh, and know quite what to do with that comment, but is there any other speakers?
Yes, sir. Vivian Moreno?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. My name is Vivian Moreno, and you all know now that I am from the city of Riverside and that I do own 30milesofcorruption.com, that my husband and I started because of the corruption that we believed that was happening in our city of Riverside. And I can tell you, the 6 years that we have been involved in our city, the city has changed, and I am here to tell you that we are very proud of our council and our mayor, who I have now become very good friends with, that we have a mutual respect for each other and what we all do. And that is why I come here, I came here as a request for some of your residents, and because they were really uneasy about the rules of engagement that was happening here at this podium. And I'm sure that we have already fixed that, and I've only been here twice. So I really believe that that has changed, and the importance of the 3 minutes that we spend up here and we talk about. Mr. Denver, you talked about this nice attorney coming up here and that he is tied to the city, tied to your community. All these people in this room here are the ones who are extremely tied to your community. These people that come here every Wednesday that you have a meeting are the ones that are really tied, and they are asking you, pleading to you for help in their issues and their concerns. And I believe, Gary August, I saw you in some of those videos as one of the members here. And so you know when these people come here, the passion that they have when they come here. And one other thing I want to talk about is that the reason I go to council meetings all over Riverside County is because of the issues that are brought up here. The homeless, the sober living, the toxic waste. These are going throughout Riverside County, and it's people like me that can help other people to move around these issues rather quickly. One of the things, I did make a public comment, and I want to discuss that. I made a public comment, and it was responded in the 10 days that are allotted, and then it was asked for another 14 days. I think that the documents that I requested should be readily available, and my concern was that they were 25 cents a page. Everywhere I've gone, Public records are 10 cents a page. If you are charging 25 cents a page, I would like to see the rate study on that. But other than that, I am glad to be here, and if I can be of any help to anybody, I'm available. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Linda Delphin?
Good evening. I just want to share my concerns. I do live on Marne Way in Menifee, and one of my major concerns is the sober living, do they pull a business license? So are we aware that it is an operation that is that's being handled? The other thing is we are a neighborhood with a lot of children. I've been here for 25 years, and sober living's one thing. What concerns me and what I understand, it's a mandated sober living. Mandated to me means they have to be there and they don't want to. We have enough crime in our neighborhood without sober living. How are we now protected when these people are there, not by choice, but because they're told by the court system they need to be there? How are we being protected to make sure that they're not going through the neighborhood, they're not checking to see who's home during the day or at night? I know that we have a crime watch. We've got a gal on our street who we're updated constantly. What's going on, the cars that are being broken into, the houses that are being broken into. That's enough to handle just from our normal everyday experiences. So now what is happening with a mandated sober living? And where can I pull those records to make sure that they were given a business license to operate in a residential area? And that I believe I understand that our city doesn't have really an ordinance for that. So there's not much that can be done. So I want to know if we can put it on the, I'll just call it a ballot, but if we can put it on the agenda and have an ordinance put into place so that we're not faced with this. Because once one sober living comes in and we have a lot of investors that they're only worried about their bottom line and they don't really care about the neighborhood they're bringing it into, that this does not continue within our community. Thank you for your time.
Is there any other speakers? Well, we really don't want to speak to any. Go ahead, Greg August, go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to speak to Mr. Johnson, and since there's been so much interest in this location over in Menifee Lakes, and I haven't brought up this issue, and Mr. Johnson, you may have already opened up, or code enforcement opened up a case on this, but if you haven't, I'd sure like you to at least get back to me and the council members and let us know what you find out about it.
Absolutely will. Thank you.
Any other speakers?
No, sir.
Very good. Thank you all very much. I know an awful lot about the sober living communities. My office is in Paris, and my real estate office, and there's a number of them there. They serve a bunch of different purposes, not only the negative that's being discussed, but there's a great deal of positive that goes on. It serves a lot of the homeless need in our community. It's a transition thing. There's no business licenses because it's not a business done by churches mostly, Salvation Army, U-Turn for Christ, a whole bunch of groups like that. There are laws about how many people can be in each one. Smoking and stuff is a difficult thing to handle because there are no laws about not smoking in your own property. I guess if it goes over to the neighbor, I hadn't really thought about that. That it is being worked on. It's not something we can make an ordinance on easily. And the city will, as you heard from Mr. August, will get back to the city council on this issue, and we'll work on it. Mm-hmm. Is any council member reports on committee activities?
Sir?
Yes.
No. Last week I had the opportunity to take Mr. Edgerton's place at the RTA meeting in Riverside, and I have some good news for the seniors out there. At least I think it's good news, but I took part in a vote, an executive board vote, and we ratified basically the first step for what they call a Dollar Ride Plus program for people in the outlying areas from Riverside where transportation for our senior citizens is not quite as prevalent as it would be in some of the urban areas. What it basically is specialized service transportation program, expanding RTA service beyond the normal RTA boundaries. Right now, RTA does not go 3/4 of a mile off their normal boundary system. This will expand their coverage to a radius of 2 miles. It's basically for senior citizen, disabled citizens, low-income persons over the age of 65. Now, this kind of comes in, actually happens at a good time for the people in Menifee, because our Senior Citizens Advisory Committee who meet monthly, I believe, they've been trying to come up with a better means of transportation for some of the seniors who don't have the opportunity of the vehicles or the skills or the ability to get around in their vehicles. So I think what's going to happen, that the money is going to be funded through this program through Measure A gas tax, but it's not going to take away from our monthly allocations from the gas tax. The way it's basically going to work, and I'll make this real short, is there's a lady up at RTA, and her name is Vivian Worley. So as many citizens as we get who will need the service, they will make arrangements with her. The RTA bus will come to their homes on schedule, charge them the normal fare that RTA does. They will drive them to shopping centers, to the doctors, to hot meals and things like that. So, Tom, you're in Sheridan, you're in the audience tonight, so once we get a little more information on this, if you can point me in the right direction to get some publicity on this for our senior citizens, and I'm sure the city will also make an effort to get publicize this as much as we possibly can. So I'm reporting out from the RTA meeting, Mr. Denver.
Thank you. Any other committee reports?
No, at this time.
I was at WRCOG this week, and it covered a number of things. We got into great depth having to do with the report that was given to us at the last board meeting, having to do with the streetlight acquisition program. It is way more complicated, way more difficult, way more larger than what was said here, or the way I understood what was said here. So that's a real project in the works, and lots more for us to know about it. I'm not going to go through it all here now, but it's a big deal. If there's no more council member.
Did you have a report you needed to make on any activities of committees? Mr. Edgerton? Did you have any report you needed to make on any activities of committees?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you.
If not, then we'll move on to the consent calendar. We just get, unless there's somebody who wishes to remove something, we'll just take one motion on this.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Madam, will we do it all in one vote? Just all those?
Yes, sir. On the motion to approve, this is a roll call vote.
Okay.
This is on the motion to approve the consent calendar. Councilmember Edgerton?
Aye.
Councilmember August?
Aye.
Councilmember Leesmeyer?
Aye.
And Mayor Pro Tem Denver?
Aye.
Thank you.
All righty, we have a public hearing, and the public hearing is a consideration of a Community Facilities District 2015-1 services. I open the public hearing regarding the formation of the Community Facilities District number 2015-1 services, the levy of special taxes, and the establishment of appropriation limit. City Manager, do we have a report on this item?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. Just for background reference, I added the same background reference we had when we act upon this for the public hearing for tonight. And just to throw some figures out there, one of the reasons we're going through this is we have about a $27.5 million revenue in our budget, and our costs for police and fire services are nearly 64% of that total budget. The two significant revenue streams that are offsetting that are property tax and sales tax. Unfortunately, we get 6 cents of every dollar of every property tax that's paid. The majority of it goes to the county. With our public safety costs rising at about 3 to 5% per year, and nearly rising at the same as our commercial retail sales, we're about 5.7 million on the sales tax that we get for revenue, and the property tax we get is about 10 million. So you're looking at $17 million offset for public services that are costing us nearly $19 million, so we're a couple $1 million off. So as the council discussed prior, of doing larger lot to get less dense population as we get older in our community and as more projects come online, the need to bridge that gap between our sales tax, property tax, and the cost of public service, we've gone into doing what several of the cities around us have done, and we'll have a presentation from Mr. Smith and Mr. Spicer from Webb and Associates to show the difference in the gap. And so what we're proposing tonight, after you read through and hear all of the studies that we've done, is the ability for the city to access new revenue as new homes are being sold. This only affects any new home that's built within the city if this is approved tonight. And it would be an additional amount of the property tax to pay directly for increased police services. So with that, I'd like to turn that over to Mr. Smith, and Jonathan has the first report for you, and then he'll hand it off to Mr. Spicer.
Great. Thank you, City Manager, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. I have a brief presentation, I promise. With me tonight, as the City Manager mentioned, is Shane Spicer with Webb Associates. He is our CFD consultant. Shane and I will answer any questions that you have at the end of this presentation. A little bit of background. CV Communities, the owner of Track 32277, Menifee Heights, requested the city to form a CFD to pay the cost to maintain public improvements within the tract and provide safety services. The CFD will also allow additional property to be annexed as additional development occurs in the city, as the city manager mentioned, new development only. Track 32277 is located at the southwest corner of Holland and Briggs Road. The resolution of intent, or ROI, was adopted January 21st, 2015. Tonight, we are holding a hearing to provide the opportunity for input from the property owners within the CFD. Also, tonight is the first reading of this ordinance, and the second reading is scheduled for March 18th, 2015. That's ordinance 2015-168. Briefly, the resolution 426 will establish the CFD. Resolution 427 will declare the election results. And the ordinance 2015-168 gives authority to the City Council to levy assessments for fiscal year 15-17. Shane will go into greater detail about this process. The fiscal impact to the city is zero, basically. There's no impact to the city's general fund. The CFD will cover the cost for maintenance of all the public improvements and safety services within the boundaries of the development. Tonight, staff recommends the following actions: that the City Council initiate the formation of the City of Menifee Community Facilities District 2015-1 services by taking the following actions. A, hold the public hearing. B, adopt the resolution 15-46 to form the CFD. Hold the special tax election, and adopt a resolution 15-427 declaring the results of the special landowner election. And then adopt ordinance 2015-168, levying the special taxes effective fiscal year 15-16.
That'd be clarification. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. That'd be introduce the ordinance.
So it would be to introduce the ordinance 2015-168. With that ends the presentation I have. Shane Spicer is here to add additional information as requested. Any questions?
Any questions regarding the proceedings that's before you?
time to do it. Councilman Leesmeyer.
Yeah, this obviously applies to residential properties, but I'm of the opinion that commercial also places a burden on our public service, or public safety services. There are some developments out there that exist, shall remain nameless, that from time to time have a lot of officer presence requested because of thefts, things like that occurring inside their businesses. And as we continue to deal with Prop 47 and AB 109, it's only going to get worse. Can this CFD apply to commercial as well?
So, good question. So actually, that was a consideration when we were discussing on the establishment of the CFD, and the thought was that through the analysis that we were going to do on the general fund, we had the consideration that sales tax and the attraction of commercial property and retail was a benefit that we were hoping to be competitive in the market with the surrounding jurisdictions that also have similar CFD structures. To point out a few, City of Paris, there are 3 proposed with City of Lake Elsinore, Wildemar, otherwise, who have a similar taxing mechanism, and they mainly address the residential need. So when we did our analysis, we were considering an offset of the sales tax components to the commercial needs, and identifying the residential as the main contributor to the police and fire safety needs.
So the short answer is no.
Short answer is no.
Okay.
Councilmember August.
A couple of questions for you, sir. Levy A versus Levy B. Levy B. Residential property versus multifamily property. I noticed a special assessment or special levy on the multifamily property is $200, roughly $200 smaller than that. And that's one question. Could you explain why? Also, each parcel, this is against each parcel on a piece of property. If there's a 2,000 square foot house on a property, and then that's going to get the same assessment as a 1,300 square foot house on the property, correct? So it's not prorated.
Correct. So to answer your first question, the analysis that we did for tax B was on a population-based analysis, and we did a per capita calculation and converted it into the number of residents within a single family versus a multifamily. So there's more people that live within the single family versus the multifamily, and this is consistent with the way that the DIF is being established as well. To answer your question regarding size of property, again, because of the population basis, we were using the SFR factor as a way of determining the number of units that build out when the city's fully developed, and that the need on a larger lot versus a smaller lot are similar in responses.
Okay. Also, should the needs in the future require the accelerators to be put in place, could you just explain that a little bit? How CPI plays into that? Why it's 5% on the levy B and not 5A? Maybe you could just touch on that a little.
Sure.
And just I'll give you one other question you can follow up with. And since there are accelerators on this, should the time come in the future where everybody has a gold mine on their property and everything's coming up roses in the city of Menifee, could future city councils eliminate or reduce or eliminate this special assessment on those new properties?
Sure. So to your first point, the escalators that have been put in place are to help ensure that there's full cost recovery as time permits, as each year we're evaluated. The difference between the maintenance component versus the public safety component is that the cost increases on the maintenance are fixed, more tied to water, electricity, and so they're more of a stable, lesser increase per year, versus the cost of service for public safety have much greater increases annually, as city manager mentioned previously. And to your second point regarding the sorry, what was your second question?
Can we eliminate, should the...
Yes. So it is at the city's discretion in order to, you can take proceedings to remove the CFD.
City Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Just for clarification, I wanted to go back to the discussion on the single-family versus the multifamily. For the single-family residential, that's based on persons per household based on the general plan, correct?
Correct.
And it is the same for the multifamily. Is that 361? So it's $516 per house if you have a home, residential home. Is that $381 per unit on the multifamily?
Correct.
So if you have 200 apartments, it's going to be 200 times 381. You see the difference between the two? Okay.
That's great.
I just want to make sure that everybody was aware that the multifamily, even though it's a lower rate per unit, it multiplies by the number of units. So if you have a 400 unit apartment complex coming in, that's 400 times 381. Shane, can you do that math in your head?
No, but it's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot.
And it costs about $230,000 to add an officer, and that's an annual cost per basis for in perpetuity. So typically, if you had a 450 home development at $516 annually, that's one officer. If you have 400 apartments or 450 apartments at 381, that's nearly one officer. So each unit that comes in will enable us to increase our police force. Now, that also relieves the general fund of that obligation, but it doesn't mean we can't continue to use the general fund as our sales tax increases and our property tax increases because we're having more homes come in. So we're going to have two sources of revenue to increase our police force.
Councilman August.
Are you going to be asking any questions? I'll let you get the last word, Mr. Mayor, because I'm through up here, but I would like to ask the city manager, address a question to him, if that's okay.
Well, right, yes, I guess, if it's on this issue.
Pardon me, sir?
It's on this issue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And to our city manager, last week, Mr. Foltz gave a very, very positive report on the city's finances. He introduced a CAFR report, and people in the audience would get the impression that the city is doing fine. I mean, I think he stated that we were going to be able to put $1 million in reserves in 13-14 on the 13-14 budget. So I would ask the city manager, so people in the audience don't get confused. We've been a city for 6 years. Why this now?
That's a very good question. I would go back to the incorporation itself and say that we probably should have done this at incorporation. If you see the other cities around us, we're a little bit behind the 8 ball, obviously, on the number of police officers we have per 1,000, and so are the rest of the cities around us. They've already gone and done these CFDs. They didn't do escalators in them, so they're having to do multiple CFDs. We're trying to do one. As per the $1 million that we were able to put into the unallocated fund balance of last year, we had a phenomenal year last year. However, that was 1 year, one time. We're talking about annual increases over the cost of time, and the fact that our revenues that are generated are not keeping up with the cost of that rise in service level. We went from 65,000 population at incorporation to 85,000 6 years later. If you do the math, that's 20,000 people. Typically, that's 20 cops. We added 3. Because we had the revenue to do it. And we were fortunate to have the revenue to do it. But we can't keep sustaining what we're doing now into the future. We have to take corrective action. And I believe it's my job to help do that.
Thank you. Any further information? Madam Clerk, are there any persons who wish to present testimony?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Vivian Moreno.
Thank you. Vivian Moreno, Riverside, California. I was a little concerned because in the documents I read, the backup documents, it didn't include anything about police cost. Not that I read. That was online today. So that's a little concerning to me. And your ordinance here says the CFD is for streetlights, parkways, streets, roads, open spaces, operation, maintenance, and storm drains. So I'm just a little concerned about this. I'm going to have our attorney, Rochelle Sterling, looking at this, because anything that has web engineering on it, we're going to look at it very carefully. Thank you very much.
Just to provide information back, there are two components to the CFD. There's a services component for the 800, and there's a police protective services for the 500. They're completely separate funds. So that we don't commingle those funds, they have to be separate. So the $516 is set aside specifically for increasing the police force. The $800 is set aside for everything that you mentioned from the podium. And I believe that the backup documentation and the report is actually public records. I'd be happy to give you a copy.
I read it. Are there any other people who wish to make testimony?
Yes, sir. Katie Manier.
Good evening once again. You know, these developers, they come into town in their fancy suits from Laguna, from all these fancy places, driving their fancy cars. They get here and they absolutely rape the public, and you guys roll over and pee on yourself like a dog, waiting to make some money off of them with their CDFs. You know what? I pay 3 times in taxes here what I paid in my former house. I hate living here, which is another issue. Anyway, and these guys, they come in and they're building 4, maybe 5 houses on a lot, selling them for $400,000, and then they want another tax on people. I don't know what people are affected by these taxes. I'm hoping I'm not affected with any more taxes. But these people are coming in, making money hand over fist. And if this city didn't have so many lawsuits pending, they would have a lot more money in their revenue. And if those lawsuits are settled, you guys will be lucky to pay for the police force to keep up with the crime rate in the city.
Is there any other people that would like to speak?
None that have indicated through a speaker slip.
Very good. Is there any written protest that's been received?
No, Your Honor, there is not.
Are there any persons registered to vote in this territory of the district?
No, sir, I have that verification from the Registrar of Voters.
Have all the owners of all the taxable properties in this district consented to hold the special elections on March 4th?
Yes, sir.
Immediately following the public hearing?
Yes, sir, they have.
Do you concur that the special election may be held immediately following the public hearing?
I do, sir.
Unless there's some other information, I will close this public hearing. There is a recommendation that's been proposed to us by the staff. And do I have a motion to adopt this resolution, 15426?
May I read the full title, sir, of the resolution that
Feel
you'll
free.
get a motion on? A resolution of the City Council of the City of Menifee establishing Community Facilities District Number 2015-1 services, calling an election for the purpose of submitting the question of the levy of the proposed special tax to the qualified electors of the proposed Community Facilities District, authorizing the levy of the special taxes and establishing the appropriations limit for the proposed Community Facilities District.
Did you receive the official ballots and other election materials from the landowners who can cast their votes on behalf of the owners of all the property included in this Community Facilities District?
Your Honor, can we do the motion on Resolution 15426 and second, and then I'll call the roll, then we'll move to that next
We can.
step?
I need a motion.
Before we make the motion, I mean, are we going to have an opportunity to discuss this behind the rail?
We can, right now.
You bet.
Okay, so
Feel free.
Which one are we talking about, Matt?
we're on the CFD. Go ahead, Craig.
Okay.
I see you scrambling here. I know this is what you're looking for, so
Okay,
go
so
for
we're
it.
gonna vote on
We're
this.
gonna now talk, he would like to talk about it behind the rail. So we've had a public hearing, we're now going to talk about it behind the rail.
Okay, I'll go first.
Go
ahead.
Okay, and this is actually pretty serious issue with me. I have very mixed thoughts about the importation of special levies on all new development, if only on new development. In an ideal world, I would oppose this concept, and I have in the past. But we don't live in an ideal world, and so my decision to consider the CFD plan is based on the reality that if the city of Menifee is to provide adequate levels of public safety to its residents, the current budget expenditures for public safety growing at about 5% annually will exceed the general fund's revenue capacity to match that demand and threaten other obligations of the general plan. Public safety, as all of us council people said on the stump when we were running for office, is the number one priority of the city. In terms of recommended levels per thousand, and that's what we how we base the number of police officers that we require, we are still well below those levels, and catch up and to stay up with recommended levels together with the population growth the city is experiencing, it's going to require, at least for the time being, an exceptional strategy, the community facilities districts. It's more out of necessity and not out of want. I commend the staff for identifying a problem and bringing it to the council's attention, and also with a solution, and I will probably, or I am going to vote yes.
Councilmember Leesmeyer?
It's well said, Greg. Thank you. You are absolutely correct. We all did run on public safety, and it is one of our number one concerns here, which is why I would probably vote with you. But I do want to ask the question that maybe we discuss it in the future, how we go about looking into a CFD for commercial development. All development causes impacts to our public safety and our police needs, and we shouldn't overlook the opportunity there on the commercial side of it, because there are, you look at a high school, for instance. They have a student resource officer allocated only to that high school in some instances. Commercial stores, Walmart, shopping malls, they have officers dedicated solely for those purposes. So I don't want to overlook that opportunity. Unless you had anything else, I would probably second Councilmember August's motion.
We have a motion and a second. I'd like to speak for just 10 seconds on it, though. I hope you all heard that there's an issue that staff is considering as looking at, and that is that they're looking at what other cities are doing about commercial development and CFDs. And one of our goals, I think, is to attract commercial development to our city. And we have to be competitive. And I think staff has made the recommendation or the statement that other cities are not doing the CFD presently to commercial, and we would be the only one. And that would turn some of this, you didn't quite say it this way, but I'm guessing that turns some of the commercial development off and moves it to other cities. And for that reason, I think it has been proposed that we do it this way, at least for now. Am I correct?
That is our recommendation at this time.
I have a motion. I have a second. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Edgerton?
Mr. Edgerton, did you have any discussion in regard to the CFD public hearing?
Well, I would agree it is an issue that one could perhaps argue both sides. Nevertheless, you have to make a decision about this. And again, I would remind what everybody knows. The city came into being with the understanding we were going to get VLF funds, vehicle license fees, and we lost those. This city knows, particularly people like John Denver, who are part of that public safety committee, that we're having difficulty keeping our police up to the measure that we would like to have them. And lastly, and maybe most importantly, we've got a city manager who most of us, I think all of us, I certainly do, have an enormous amount of confidence in, and his staff. And they have to look forward several years down the line to see where we're headed. And this is interconnected with any number of other issues that involve revenue generation. So for me to oppose the recommendation of staff, I would need some very, very significant evidence pointing in that direction, and I just don't see it. So my vote strongly supports the city manager and his staff's recommendation. I vote aye.
I'll call the roll call on the motion for approval of Resolution 15426, City Council for the City of Menifee establishing the Community Facilities District 2015-1 services and calling an election for the purpose of submitting the levy of the special tax and the establishment of the appropriations limit to the qualified electors of the proposed CFD. Councilmember August.
Aye.
Councilmember Leesmeyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Edgerton.
Aye.
And Mayor Pro Tem Denver.
Aye.
Thank you.
City Clerk, did you receive the official ballots and other election materials from the landowners who can cast their votes on behalf of the owners of all the property included in this Community Facilities District?
I did, sir, and I will canvass that vote now, and I am able to tell you that I have the return ballots, and I can declare the results of that. They are voted with a yes vote from the owner of those properties.
So all the folks voted yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 15427, declaring the election results?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second.
Thank you. Let me call the roll call on Resolution 15427 of the City Council of the City of Menifee, declaring the election results for Community Facilities District 2015-1 services on the propositions with respect to, 1, the annual levy of special taxes to pay for services set forth in Section 5 of the Resolution of Intent. Councilmember Leesmeyer.
Aye.
Councilmember August.
Aye.
Councilmember Edgerton.
Aye.
And Mayor Pro Tem Denver.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. We have discussion items.
Hold on, one more vote. We
Oh.
do need to have an introduction
Oh,
of the ordinance, sir.
we will then have, is that a public hearing or a,
No, it's part of this public hearing. It's just the last action.
I see.
That the council introduce and schedule for second reading and adoption ordinance 2015. And once the motion's made, I'll read the title.
Motion to introduce.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
A motion on ordinance 2015-168 to introduce the ordinance and schedule for a second reading and adoption at the next meeting on March 18th. An ordinance levying special taxes to be collected during the fiscal year 2015-16 to pay the annual costs of the maintenance and servicing of streetlights, parks, parkways, streets, roads, and open space, the operation and maintenance of stormwater drainage systems, a reserve fund for capital replacement, and administrative expenses with respect to the City of Menifee Community Facilities District 2015-1 services. Council Member August.
Aye.
Council Member Leesmeyer.
Aye.
Council Member Edgerton.
Aye.
And Mayor Pro Tem Denver.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
All right, now the discussion items, I think. Which is authorize the city manager to enter into a revised and restated settlement agreement with Accurate Leak Detectors Incorporated.
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, this is a request of me to continue to work with Mr. Falco on moving his business location, Accurate Leak Locators, from the current residential property that he has. Just for reference, it was back on April 1st of 2014 when Mr. Falco appealed an ongoing land use violation, which ended up being upheld by the council, but the council, by the Planning Commission, but the council directed me on May 7th to work out a settlement agreement, allowing him to remain on his property for a certain period of time with certain conditions on that property, and to assist him to look for other properties to move his business to a more suitable location in a commercial light industrial opportunity. To this date, Mr. Falco has identified another piece of property. He has produced a letter of intent to the property owner to purchase that piece of property, and he's going through his due diligence. The request tonight is to allow me to continue to work to amend and restate the settlement agreement to allow him, if he does purchase that property or a similar property that he's interested in, to move his business to that property and give him time to meet all the requirements necessary for it to become a permitted facility for him.
Any discussion?
What is the time period that you're looking to extend this out?
He had a 3-year agreement. He had 36 months to comply. He's complied and fulfilled the agreement, the settlement agreement, which is attached to the staff report. And he has 20-some months left on that. I would ask for at least the remainder of that time for him at the new facility, but we won't exactly know how much needs to be improved on that facility. So if your concurrence is that you would allow me to enter into another agreement with him to do that, I could bring that back for ratification, and we would be able to say how many months he would have to come into compliance. So if he finds a property and he has one in mind, there's some things that need to be fixed on the property. There's a building on it that he needs to get a permit to occupy. He needs to do a plot plan. So there's things that he would need to do to make sure that he's in compliance, and he's willing to do that. He wants to stay in Menifee. He stated that the whole time, and this is what I believe the settlement agreement initially authorized me to do. Unfortunately, or fortunately, either one you want to look at, he found the property sooner than needed by his settlement agreement. So by all rights, he has the ability to stay at the current location until, I believe it's July 2017. So if we could get him to move sooner and comply quicker, that would be my goal, and I think it's his goal as well. It would take him out of that residential neighborhood, which is rural residential neighborhood, and put him in the position he needs. So if I meet with him and get an agreement with him on a time frame, and I can bring them back to council, or if you want to state he's got 2 years to do that, he's got 36 months, if you want to give me that direction, I can easily make that part of this new restated and amended settlement agreement.
Well, it's my understanding that he's looking at moving into a piece of property that may or may not have prior approvals, may have code violations, et cetera. So at this point, I'm inclined to just, continue going with the 2 years until we at least, maybe in the next coming weeks, and you can, before we ratify this, determine that he does need that much time to get it done. That property alone has been sitting for many, many years with outstanding code violations. As that property changes hands, many of those code violations will probably disappear. But I don't want Mr. Falco to think that he's going to be able to continue status quo the way that property owner there is now. He would need to do the plot plan, all the necessary studies to follow CEQA, traffic studies, impacts, things like that, right?
I agree, yes. I would hope that you would allow me the ability to work with him should that property not go through. Sure. In other words, this amended settlement agreement would allow him to identify a property for him to go into. Knowing that he has one, I don't want to say on the hook, but I will. On the hook right now, if that doesn't go his way and something falls out of escrow,
starting over.
I would hope that we would give him time to identify another piece of property.
Sure.
Councilmember August.
Thank you, Matt. Now I'm really confused, but I understand it. But anyway, to question to the city manager, I remember the complaint situation last year. And so you're saying that no matter whether we take Mr. Leesmeyer's option or go with your option, the idea is to get Mr. Falco out of the property prior to what was originally agreed on, and you think you can do that with your option? You have the best chance of doing that?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I'm saying that he has a couple years left on his current settlement agreement, which allows him to be in that property until that period of time. Should he find an alternative location and I help him and move into that, and we create another settlement agreement that he needs to work on, it's going to be a larger process. He's currently working out of a rural residential property. It would be for him to move into a commercial property that may or may not have the proper approval. Mm-hmm. So he would either need to get everything in order to get a CUP, he's going to go through planning commission, he's going to need to do those things that are going to allow him to move into the property. It could take longer than the remaining time he has on his agreement. What I'm asking for tonight is that you allow me to enter into a negotiation with him on that time period.
If you entered into a negotiation, could you get him to comply and agree with the fact that if things don't go well, he could still be out of there on time and meet the requirements of the original plan?
Correct. We also are continuing to hold, as per the settlement agreement that we currently have, There's about almost $24,000 in fines to him in the current location that he's in. We would not be wiping those away. We would be holding those in abeyance so that when and if he does not comply, those would start affecting day after the settlement agreement term ends.
Okay. But your goal is to get him out as per the original agreement?
Correct.
Okay. And this is, you gave us your way of doing it. Okay, thank you.
In light of, Mr. Falco's compliance and efforts to remain in compliance, at least with the agreement, I'd be in favor of giving him the 3 years.
I think you have consensus then of the council.
Can I have a motion?
It'd be
on
great
that,
if I could have a motion.
All righty. No, I'm not going to make this motion because
Motion to authorize the city manager.
Thank you.
To enter into a revised and
Prepare and
restated.
enter into an agreement.
Well, as long as we don't have to go into detail here, just enter into it. All right. I understand. We have a motion. Do we have a second? I have a motion and a second.
Mr. Edgerton, did you have any questions on that?
No, it's a long, tough history, and I would compliment all the people for cooperating, and especially compliment Rob Johnson for his efforts in bringing this to some kind of common sense conclusion.
Thank you. Are you ready for me to take the vote, Mr. Mayor? Thank you. Councilmember Edgerton?
Aye.
Councilmember August?
Aye.
Councilmember Lee Smyer?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Denver?
Aye.
Thank you.
A city attorney reports. Do you have any report to us?
No reports, Mayor Pro Tem.
City manager reports?
Thank you, sir. Just a reminder of the Legacy Workshop on Monday, March 16th at 5 p.m. here at Council Chambers.
Oh,
Monday, March 16th, 5 p.m. Legacy Workshop here in Council Chambers.
Oh, go ahead. Now, we submitted our legacy prophecies or requests to the city manager. And can you tell me what you're doing with those? And are we expected to be able to come and elaborate? Are you going to do a report for us on that or what?
The objective is to hold a workshop to discuss your legacy ideas. I would facilitate that and help you, and yes, you can freely expand and discuss and communicate with one another, agree, disagree, prioritize if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Julie or someone, there's karaoke event happening in the city this Friday night, correct? And where is it exactly?
Monteleone Meadows.
Monteleone Meadows. That's going to be quite an event, and the beneficiary of that is the
Community cupboard.
community cupboard. So we should go do that and see who can sing, or who can't sing, as the case may be. Is there anything else that needs to be brought before this august group?
No.
Hearing none, meeting's adjourned.